All right. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got about 5 people right now. All right. Until we get about like 6, maybe. We'll see. It's of course 7 again. Yeah, I used to have that issue. I would have like a bunch of different accounts. Yeah, I managed to consolidate a lot of it, so. Most of the stuff I use now, like, it's just under my name if it's private, or it's under the Schizoid name when it's when it's otherwise I don't know. I switch between those usually. Alternate. Looks like a few of you showed up already. Alright. Let's get this show started. No updates on myself. Same shit, different toilet as usual. I'll say this stuff first, that way it's out of the way. If you like the channel, if you like the streams, I've changed a lot. My stream setup. I'm going to be making more changes over time, hopefully. Currently, I haven't been able to spend as much time on focusing on some of these channel changes and stuff because I'm looking for work. So, I have to prioritize finding a goddamn job. Until then. But if you do like it, like, sub, all that shit, the best thing you can do is, if anything, it's just like, if I talk about a topic and it's interesting, or you like my take, or you hate my take, I don't care. Just go ahead and put that link somewhere, and that, like, you could like hate on it or like it or whatever. The goal is to grow this channel so that I can start talking about some occasional schizoid related subjects to a wider audience. Because I don't know, it's really important, and it's something I care about and advocate for. But in order to do so, I'm going to express a bunch of thoughts on a bunch of other shit that I have. And apparently, people have told me my idiosyncratic approaches towards stuff tend to sound reasonable to them. I think I would sound unreasonable to a lot of people. But reasonable to, I don't know, some, I guess. But hopefully, I'll sound reasonable to most. Doubt that, though. Alright, let's go. Oh, yeah, the thing people say, I say it because everyone leaves by the end, or people that watch the pods don't hear it. If you like what I'm doing, please just Patreon, PayPal. PayPal's the easiest, but Patreon, that's like just as good. Join up there. I want to do more stuff on Patreon. I just haven't, because I don't know what to do, especially since I'm going to try to expand this outside of just having like a niche schizoid specific audience. So maybe I'll have people join it that actually like want things on there, like, I don't know, exclusive rambles or something, or videos. I have no idea. I don't know what people want. All right. By the way, yeah, this is the soundtrack I was playing right now. It's called Mischief Makers. If you've never played it, it's quite good. It was an N64 game. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining what it is. It's crazy. It's weird 3D, 2D, kind of weird look that you know, I don't explain it. It's just a crazy platformer with a bunch of cool fights and over-the-top nonsense and goofy humor and a bunch of like collectibles and shit. It's really great. Most people probably haven't played it. I recommend if you have like a N64 emulator and you've never played it or something, or if you have an N64 and you want to buy a cartridge, it's cool. Alright, moving on. So, this is what I'm going to tackle today. So, I'm still trying to figure out the format for these like short streams. I tend to go like an hour and change at most. I don't like to waste a lot of time just kind of like meandering about. On Thursday, I'll probably do that more. But what I want to do is I want to tackle like a bigger topic at the beginning, because it's usually when people like jump in or catch it. Something I think is important to discuss or think about and stuff like that. And then I will move on to something that's a little more like, I guess, not as, ooh, wow, what an idea, I guess. I don't know. And then after that, I'll show you two channels that I thought are pretty small. I think they grew since I found them a little bit, but and that might have something interesting in there for you. Because I go through the trash of YouTube trying to find treasures, and I do sometimes. Oh yeah, yeah, I know. I kind of figured as much. They're rational. Okay, let me see here. Let's go. So in this case, it's a channel called Pursuit of Wonder. It's got a lot of subs. Like this is a big ass channel. What is it? 3.33 million subs. And some of the stuff on here, I'm just like, that's being said on here. I was checking it out, listening to it. I didn't want to like, but I didn't like some of the stuff that's being said here. And I'm not here to like shit on the channel or nothing. I'm just here to kind of poop on some of what's being said and how it's being presented. And when I was scrolling down, I did see some people also noticed somewhere in here a similar problem. And it actually opens up the discussion toward like this particular idea in general. That tends to be a weird problem, especially when you're talking about like the topic of open-mindedness and tolerance and shit like that, right? It's one of those like people have weird definitions for stuff that extend beyond like where they should, and then it just like makes it muddies the waters significantly. I'll leave the subs on for. Well, actually, no. There's no point. Subs. Like, well, it makes it easier. I'll just leave them on. If they're disruptive, whatever, take them off. So here we go.
Share, expand, practice, and improve your creativity through their curated online classes. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a free 1-month trial. Most of us believe that open-mindedness and tolerance are good things. Most of us believe that we are open-minded and tolerant. Throughout our lives, we are repeatedly told in different contexts to do and see things in an open-minded way. As a child, we were likely told to be open-minded about trying new foods and going to new places. As a teenager, we were likely told to be open-minded, at least in so many words, about doing something new or outside our comfort zone. And throughout our whole life, we have likely been told to be open.
Now here you might be thinking, what's wrong with open-mindedness? Is Ank's gonna go be shitting on the idea of open-mindedness?
Minded about different kinds of people, cultures, opinions, and ideologies that perhaps we aren't accustomed to or don't personally like. Of course,
this is the moment when I go mask off and tell everyone I'm a massive bigot. That's not what's happening.
In many cases, open-mindedness and tolerance are in fact very good qualities that are crucial to so many things: learning, growing, loving, sympathizing, accepting, and coexisting. But far less considered is the fact that open-mindedness and tolerance can also be terrible things. Consider the following thought experiment. You and a few other people are forming an organization in your community. Its title is the Tolerance and Anti-Discrimination Group. Its goal is to fight discrimination and intolerance through a variety of initiatives like discussions, education, policy, fundraising, and so on. The response is fantastic. A huge number of people want to join. In fact, at least one or more individuals from every belief system, worldview, gender, race, sexuality, national origin, age, and so on sign up.
Yeah, so already, like this experiment is like, obviously it's just a metaphor or like a setup for something. Like at this point you think, oh wow, that sounds like a pretty decent club, pretty cool thing, right? And it would be impossible to manage, but nonetheless, there's no issues so far. We'll get to it.
Things appear to be off to a great start. At the first meeting, however, there's a problem, a big one. Some individuals don't like other members. They don't know any of them, but they don't like them based on their beliefs, personal preferences, or who they are. These prejudiced members quickly become vocal about their disdain, making terrible comments about the other individuals. Panicked and unnerved by the situation, you quickly separate all the prejudiced individuals and inform them that they must leave. "So, we're being discriminated against because of our beliefs?" one of the individuals says to you with a frustrated, matter-of-fact tone. "I thought this was the anti-discrimination and tolerance group, where everyone is welcome. How can you not include everyone if your mission is the inclusion and tolerance of everyone?" This confuses you. Everything this individual is saying is true, but of course, something seems very wrong. Unsure of exactly what to do, and wanting to honor the group's mission totally, you agree to let all the individuals stay. Over the following few weeks, you and the group make efforts to improve cohesion, understanding, treatment.
Okay, so what bugs me about this video is it tends, and look, unless they fucking flip the script in the last like minute or something, and I'm done. This video, and the problem is that, you know, obviously people only watch like what, the first like 6-7 minutes of a video, or less, like 3-4 minutes, or whatever, however amount on average. It starts the thing separating, or just saying two phrases, right? Tolerance and open-mindedness. Right? But then it sort of starts conflating those ideas together. It starts talking about open-mindedness as if it is tolerance. And it starts discussing open-mindedness as something that you could do too much of. Right? It's like that old saying that's always been kind of goofy to me, like, oh, if your mind is so open, your brain's gonna fall out. I mean, has anyone ever heard that? You're so open-minded, don't let your brain fall out. There tends to be this like weird definition in people's mind about what open-mindedness means, right? But I'll let it continue.
An opportunity for all within the community, and hopefully beyond. The problems of incoherence, misunderstanding, and mistreatment, however, are running rampant within the organization itself. Many individuals have even left, having felt increasingly uncomfortable with the way they were being perceived and treated by the prejudiced members. On several occasions, some of the prejudiced individuals implied, and in some cases even explicitly stated, that those who conflicted with their own beliefs and partialities should leave. The group, which started out as an inclusive organization whose goal was tolerance and acceptance, is now becoming exclusive and intolerant to many. Realizing something needs to change, you confront the problem individuals again. "Sorry, but you guys have to leave. You're creating a huge problem for our other members," you tell them. "So, we're being discriminated against because of our beliefs and views. I thought this was the anti-discrimination and..."
By the way, if you've ever come across this, like if you've ever, I don't know, you ran a server, you had a forum, you have a small group, it could be in a classroom, I don't know, whatever. If anyone approaches you with this kind of phrasing, this shit is bad fucking faith as you can get. Just remember that. If anyone is like, oh, I thought we were like accepting of all ideas, I thought this was just the, like, you know, why aren't we integrating my ideas? I thought this was a collaborative effort. My ideas. You're not being open-minded enough, and such, right? That is a manner in which to use your emotions to manipulate their way into getting what they want. Okay? This shit right here is that. And I'm not saying this video is not saying that. I'm just talking about it. My issue again. Now we got 3 words being thrown around: acceptance, tolerance, and open-mindedness. Right? And the title of the video is why being open-minded is ruining your life. And this isn't the only kind of video I've ever seen kind of bring this up, but I chose this one because, well, apparently a lot of people have watched it, and then it's fairly decent in length. Like, it's not too long.
Tolerance group. They say to you again. This time, you've prepared yourself for this objection. Yes, but your beliefs and actions are harming others. The point of tolerance and open-mindedness is to allow for cohesion and acceptance, not harm and ostracization.
There it is. Right? There's a lot of things just being smashed together here, which then the argument this video is making kind of couches it as open-mindedness leads to this problem. And I'll talk about why that fucking bothers me. Oh, my daughter just showed up. I hope she didn't hear that. Yes, you did scare me. One second. Yeah. Anyway, that's a tradition here, just so you know. I'm a dad, so I got an older one that just kind of teenager, keeps to herself mostly. But I got a little one, she's 5, and she says goodnight every night around the time that I stream. But she tells me every night. Uh, the days that I don't stream is when I do like bedtime story, stuff like that. But when I do stream, she still wants to tell me goodnight, and I'm not going to deny that. So, in any case, yeah, as I was saying, thank you for the non secular. Active research, king of the non sequiturs today.
But many of the beliefs and attitudes and behaviors of the other individuals who were and are in the group make us feel threatened and uncomfortable. One person says earnestly, "We don't believe what we believe to be hateful. We just believe it to be right and good, and we simply do not like those who oppose it. How come others' beliefs and identities take precedence over ours? How is what you're saying we are doing any different from what you are doing to?"
Yeah, that we simply do not like people who oppose it. That's already like fucking red flags. If I was the leader of a or a whatever the fuck.
Us, right now. You murmur. What this individual is saying sort of makes sense, but you know something is still very wrong. Not having a clear answer and still wanting to honor the group's mission totally, again, you agree to let all the individuals stay. Soon, your large, open-minded, anti-discrimination and tolerance group...
Like, first of all, like, it didn't work the first time. And then they made the same argument again, right? And then you're just letting them stay. This isn't being open-minded. This is being a fucking idiot. This is being, well, there's a couple of things this is actually being. You're being, like, conflict avoidant to the point where it's toxic. You're being, almost, there's like a type of, if that's not the reason, there's like a form of like a toxic empathy happening here. There is there's essentially a situation in which you're just like, you're so afraid of conflict of any kind or causing disruption or hurting feelings that you're destroying what you're trying to create. Because again, somebody doing that might say, hey, we need to be open-minded, and confuse it with, we need to be accepting of everything. We need to be tolerant of everything, of all ideas. You don't have to integrate bad ideas. Open-mindedness means you will listen and you will analyze, judge, and figure out, is this conducive to what we're attempting to do here? And is this something that could work with the consensus of the group that is trying to be created? or the space that's trying to be made. People that show up and say, I don't like people, right, that do not agree with my ideas. You already have a problem there, because these are people that are already kind of merging together ideas and people as being like the same fucking thing, right? Someone can have a bad idea. It might not necessarily make them a bad person. If the idea is bad enough, or if the idea is bad, really bad, and they actively pursue it and cause harm to other people, that is not doing anything but causing harm. It's not actually producing any kind of like progress in any kind of efficient way. You don't have to tolerate those ideas in a way to where you're like, yeah, I mean, we tolerate, we're accepting, we're open-minded of everybody and everything. That's why it bothers. That's why it bothers me that like a lot of even like Discord servers and things like that, right? They'll just make it a free-for-all, and a lot of people will sort of like couch things in words, kind of like these like people trying to stay in there, of like, hey, you're being unempathetic, you're being close-minded. All that shit is manipulation.
Descends further and further into a smaller group comprising mostly intolerant and bigoted individuals. Worse, some of these individuals begin to threaten and even use violence on other members that they disagree with or don't like. If you don't act quick, you'll be one of the founders and leaders of essentially what turned into a violent hate group. You decide to confront the problem individuals one last time. You guys have to leave, all of you, you say to them sternly. So
this guy, I know it's just an example, but this guy sounds like, let's see, like straight up, you guys gotta leave now. And then let me guess, they're gonna say the same shit, right?
We're being discriminated against. I thought this was the anti-discrimination and tolerance group. Yes, you are being discriminated against.
That's why you wouldn't.
And yes,
that's why you wouldn't call your fucking group that. That's why you don't call your group the anti-discrimination and tolerance group. That is a dumb fucking name for a group.
This is the anti-discrimination and tolerance group. Well, that seems pretty paradoxical, doesn't it? One of the more philosophical bigots interjects. It does seem that way, but it isn't, you say confidently. Tolerance is not a universality in this organization. It is not a universal moral principle or truth claim. It's a social contract. If you are not being tolerant of others who are not directly infringing on your ability to exist peacefully and safely, and instead you are infringing on others' abilities to exist peacefully and safely, then you are not acting in accordance with the contract, and so you are not protected by the contract. This group's goal is maximum tolerance for and acceptance of as many people as possible. You are impeding on that objective, and so you are not allowed in. The group angrily stares back at you.
So goofy.
This thought experiment is a simple illustration of what is known as the paradox of tolerance, which was first introduced by the Austrian-British philosopher.
The paradox of tolerance. Why do these types of channels always like conflate these things, right? Why don't you call the fucking video the paradox of tolerance, or why being tolerant is ruining your life? Why say why being open-minded? Why conflate those things? It causes so many fucking problems. There's a lot of people out there that think that tolerance is the same thing as open-mindedness. I'm an open-minded person. So, you can approach me with an idea, and I will listen, and I will work with it. And if that idea is flawed and fucked and damaging and hateful in a way that's like absurd and just unproductive, like and there are like various levels of just like moral fucking, or better yet, like the complete dismissal of like human autonomy and shit like that in favor of some like ideological goal you have, I'm gonna just be like, that's a shitty idea, and I'm not integrating that into how I think about this or how I approach the things that I work on. And I don't care how much that makes you feel sad and butthurt or excluded. because your very idea involves exclusion for reasons that are unreasonable. And I can explain what I mean by that. And then generally it'll fundamentally come down to like them placing more importance on some kind of goal or some kind of tribalistic thing over any kind of actual like way of approaching the issue that might require a little more effort but could be solved or could be discussed. All right. Oftentimes a lot of these types of people will have a bunch of ideas that are kind of predicated or built upon like an already unstable mess of shit, right? But government impedes on personal autonomy by its literal definition alone. Yes, but so does like the environment impedes on your autonomy. Your bodily functions impede on your autonomy. I'm not conflating those two, but there is an acceptable level of autonomy, like just like giving to certain types of environment. Now, this state, as it stands, how it is, no, it's doing a lot of fucking things wrong that I would be like, no, that is not worth my autonomy. The way this is being handled, the way this functions, the goals that seem to be kind of pointing business and corporations and the state in certain directions that I think are destructive to not just myself, but to like the future of like the average person, right? Or the average person in other nations and shit like that. Then we have the question of like, is this worth having our autonomy curtailed to a specific degree, right? Because you have to curtail autonomy to a specific degree, because you can't like I can't just be like, hey, my autonomy says I want to be sneaking around like a ninja and murdering people. You can't stop me because that would be curtailing my autonomy, because obviously I'm ending theirs, right? Or actions essentially that destroy or damage other people's sort of ability to live and function and thrive, those types, and they don't, there's no trade-off there, right? That is beneficial to more people or more, sentient beings or living things, then you have no discussion. Then it's just fucking stupid. Now there's no argument, because it's actively causing more, like, less autonomy and more damage, more unproductive suffering. So what the hell's the point outside of making yourself feel more autonomous for the purposes, I mean, you're making yourself more autonomous or placing your autonomy above the autonomy of all other things around you. It's like it's kind of a disgusting form of individualism to the nth degree. Anyway.
Philosopher Karl Popper in 1945. Essentially, the paradox shows that if a society...
If I ever don't make sense, anybody can tell me in the chat. I'll try to make sense. But I know I'm a rambler.
Or group were to be completely tolerant, intolerance would likely become the dominating attitude, undermining the very goal of tolerance. Optimal tolerance, therefore, needs to exhibit various forms and degrees of intolerance. Some of the key questions the aforementioned thought experiment raises are the following. Did you do the right thing? Should you have done something differently? Should you have done something sooner, or perhaps later? What if the individuals refuse to leave? What are you permitted to rightfully do to stop and remove them if they don't on their own accord? In Popper's view...
Exactly, boy. Exactly. 100%. If somebody thinks that my views are fucked, explain to me why they're fucked, and we can hash it out, figure it out. If the reasons you give me are poopy, I'll discuss why I think they're poopy. If you think my reasons are poopy, we can discuss that further as well.
Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and tolerance with them. We should therefore claim, in the name of...
Yeah, that's interesting, Active, because like since you had mentioned the state and all that, or like even if you want to talk about private entities or corporations, they do all kinds of shit that isn't legally considered to be aggressive or crossing ethical boundaries, but they are, and it is, and it's causing various types of dysfunction in human life and animal life and all kinds of shit. So sometimes even the legal system is sort of built upon a foundation of tolerating bullshit that we shouldn't be tolerating because it's just been so ingrained in the culture. It's crazy.
Tolerance, the right not to tolerate the intolerant. However obvious the paradox in its resolution might seem, there are, arguably, some serious uncertainties into how to justly and holistically resolve it. Firstly, what is intolerant? Secondly, what is tolerable? The easy-seeming answer here is that all that does not pose threat or cause harm to another person's ability to live safely and peacefully is tolerable, and everything else is intolerable.
Yeah, and so, like, by that very simple definition, you would basically have to say that, like, most governments, as it stands, most, like, especially, like, archaically capitalistic kind of systems of sort of economic control and class system and all that kind of shit, like, that would all kind of sort of fall under, in many ways, as being something you shouldn't tolerate because it's actively causing harm that it doesn't have to, in favor of ideological reasons, or that sort of only allow a small percentage of individuals to live opulent lifestyles to a degree that is actually, it's just literally just causing harm. And the only argument they have for sustaining that is that it works, but it only seems to work mostly for them. So, and then there's this, like, delusion that, like, anybody could be like that person if they just work hard enough. We've known that shit was bullshit for a good while now. Especially now. It's fucking especially now.
But what is the basis for determining what is harmful or threatening? Lots of things can feel threatening or cause harm. Speech, creative work, technology, progress, physical violence, and so on. Furthermore, the same things can be perceived differently to different people. Depending on an individual's perspective, beliefs, and sensitivities,
Yes.
one can experience something as good or harmless that is experienced as bad or harmful to another. Speech, for example, can cause emotional distress and can feel threatening, even if there's no explicit direct threat being made. But if speech and emotional distress are considered sufficiently harmful and threatening, then a society or group...
It's just like, man... these types of videos drive me crazy. It's got, like, how many views does this shit have? 171,000 views, 3.33 so 8.5k ups. It's just, it bothers me because when a channel's this big, there's going to be a lot of people watching it that are young, and they're going to watch this and think they have a fucking handle on the paradox of tolerance, think they have a fucking handle on open-mindedness, and various other things, right? And then they're going to apply these like ideas that have a bunch of fucking conflated shit, and then they're going to use that to make arguments or make decisions about what they now believe, right? And it's just
would need to limit free speech, which most individuals would likely disagree with. If, rather, one does believe speech should be limited, what speech exactly? Speech that makes others uncomfortable or feel like their beliefs, identity, or way of life is being threatened? Who then decides what qualifies for this? How do we measure and define reasonable versus unreasonable emotional distress? Of course,
I'm really hoping it tells us. I think I got about, like, 11 minutes. I don't remember.
A very, very slippery slope emerges here. Popper says, I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterance of intolerant philosophies. As long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion, suppression would certainly be most unwise.
I
Of
actually agree
course,
with
instead
that statement. Suppression is fucking dumb. Suppression never works. It never works. It always makes everything much worse.
of speech, physical threats and physical harm are much clearer bases to use in determining what is intolerable. But there are still some serious degrees of uncertainty here. Often groups threatening or using violence are doing so out of a sense that their own beliefs, experiences, identities.
There are exceptions. I gotta caveat that. Like, you can't, like, obviously things like incitement, threatening violence, and threatening assault, threatening this, threatening that. Um, Doing things that can cause, like, psychological harm to, like, any child, not just like uh, the parents of the children that really don't like the idea that's being said, like just stuff that's just actively harmful. Like, you can't go, like, yes, I am in favor of suppressing speech when it comes to, like, you shouldn't be allowed to, like, go up to a child and say all kinds of vulgarities at them, and, like, say that, like, you want to, like, murder them in their sleep or something. Like, no, you're gonna give that kid nightmares. That kid's just gonna get, that's just gonna be a nice little pile of shit for them to remember for the rest of their lives. No, no, that should be suppressed for sure.
Or ways of life are being threatened. If violence is universally prohibited, however, then any group using violence, regardless of their assessments of their own threatened state, would be in the wrong. But presumably, violence would potentially be considered an appropriate response if one group was being attacked with violence by another. If this is true, though, then what is considered fair and appropriate in defending oneself when one's freedoms and abilities to prosper are being inhibited and threatened in a technically non-violent manner? Of course,
There's videos like this, so fucking many. Like, it's getting all these complicated ideas that require discussion and context in various ways, and it doesn't even have to talk about this stuff right here. Like, these, like, oh, these, oh, what if, and then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's this. Like, why is that in your one fucking video with the title that's already wrong? It's a violence, force, like, it's a clusterfuck. Like, this video is a clusterfuck, and that channel, I checked out like one or two more. Some are all right, but man, there's like a lot of this kind of shit here, man. And some of the biggest fucking channels do this stuff. It just feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like pseudo intellectual nonsense. Like, I guess the term people use online is like midwit shit. This is like midwit shit, and it drives me crazy. If you're familiar with the term, it sounds smart, but it's not fucking smart. It sounds reasonable, but it's not reasonable. It sounds like a lot of things that it isn't. And this slop is everywhere.
this is why we have debates, democracies, government bodies, and enforcement agencies to help determine and enforce the levers of tolerance and intolerance. But in some cases, this is not enough. Ultimately, someone always needs to decide what constitutes a legitimate threat, what causes legitimate harm, and what is justifiable in response. Though, of course, there are good guidelines for assessing these things, rarely is everything totally clear. And everything gets even less clear when you take into account that across time and space, what is considered harmless or harmful, good or bad, severe or mild, is all extremely fluid. The perception of what is acceptable.
None of this is smart or educational. None of this. We are not. People that watch this and think they're learning something are unlearning, or they're just learning. They're being told incorrect information about how they're being told everything's really complicated, isn't it? And then being told, well, here's how it might not be. And then people are just going to run with that. Crazy.
Or harmful has changed, does change.
I came across a white supremacist video on my recommended, which basically asserted that whites and blacks have different styles of growing up and forming societies baked into their DNA. Oh my god, dude. See, that's another subject that I'll bring up some other time. But it's essentially there was a video I had watched that they said it so beautifully. They said that They said that there's groups that approach argumentation like a lawyer, right? And one of the jobs of a lawyer is to get something that is true to support something that is not or cannot be fully verified. It's getting correlation and causation and just making it just confusing enough. Just confusing enough. Now, in this case, I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think there's any kind of like agenda here. Maybe there is. I haven't watched enough of the videos. It hasn't said like, oh, this is why we can't tolerate the right or the left, or we can't tolerate this or that, right? It hasn't said that yet. Like I said, I didn't see like the last 3 minutes or something when I originally went through it, because I was already like annoyed with it, and I'm like, I'll just save it for the stream. It,
and will change across times and places in history and the world. And in a rapidly evolving, technological, and globalized world, this fluidity gets even more complicated and difficult to grasp. The best we can likely do is to continue to try to move our hands as quickly and as coordinatedly with each other as possible. Fundamentally, the paradox of tolerance reveals the inherent complexity and potential problems that can and do.
I hate it. It's almost nihilistic in a way that I don't like, and I'm moving away. I'm finding myself moving away from my optimistic nihilism, but I'm not sure yet. I think it's still there, but it's just like, look at all this complicated shit. We're just gonna have to do what we can do. Like, it's so fucking pessimistic. Like, it's such bullshit. No, things can be done. Let's talk about those things. It's such a big problem. How are we ever gonna figure it out?
From what otherwise seem like universally good things. If we bring the entire paradox and thought experiment down to the level of an individual's life, we find a similar phenomenon. If we are so open-minded that we essentially accept anything as fair, okay, or true, we will invariably...
Being open-minded is not accepting everything as fair and true. There's no such thing as being so open-minded that you accept everything as fair and true. That shit is so goddamn stupid. That is not open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is having the ability to sort of control your own knee-jerk reactions to information that's being presented to you. Being able to get it and allow yourself to integrate it into your knowledge base in your fucking brain or anything else in the world that you can get knowledge from. And then be able to regurgitate an answer as to the judgment quality of that thing. So when you're really open-minded, all it means is you're willing to listen to ideas that you do not agree with, because you want to hear the argument for why you should, or why you should, what's the word? Like, fuck around a little bit with how you're perceiving it. Right? Like, that's what being open-minded is. Not this shit. Right? Stop conflating those things. It pisses me off, man.
Let unfair, bad, and false things into our lives.
That's what leads to a stupid saying like, don't be so open-minded, your brain falls out. Drives me crazy. Oh, I muted it.
Beliefs and attitudes that we know are wrong, in ourselves and those we share spaces with. We will associate with people we do not like, who undermine our hopes and goals. We will try and do things that we know we don't want to or shouldn't. We will become a person we don't want to be. Of course, all of this being paradoxical and fundamentally subjective in nature makes it anything but clear to manage. But in the words of the Austrian-American educator and diplomat, Walter M. Kochnig, don't keep your mind so open that your brains fall out.
There it is. Okay, I didn't get this far. I can't believe I can't believe this channel's using that quote like unironically. Like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. I've always fucking hated this quote. It always sounded dumb as fuck to me. Again, it's shit that sounds smart, but really isn't. When you really pick it apart, you go, okay, what the fuck does that even mean? Don't keep your mind so open. Being open, having an open mind, is not the same thing as accepting stupid fucking ideas and fucking yourself over.
We have a tendency to take good qualities, like niceness, like positivity, like open-mindedness and tolerance, and universalize them outright across everything. We can then find ourselves believing that we should always be nice.
This is definitely algo slop, boy.
We should always be positive. We should always be tolerant.
But like the average just fucking internet, not terminally online, fucking normie that just like, scrolls through fucking videos and they're like, I feel like watching something educational today.
And open-minded. But we shouldn't. When left unchecked, these things can turn back around and bite us, like an untrained dog let off its leash. With no commands and no guidelines, it doesn't know its master. It has no master. Its otherwise potentially good, kind, friendly nature becomes inflicted by inattentiveness. We should be nice when we can, we should be positive when we can, and we should be open to everything, but we should not let everything in.
Yeah, that's called like having...
One area in our personal lives where we need to be especially careful about being open versus closed-minded is how we allocate our time and efforts, the paths we explore and choose for our careers and passions. We're often told, and we often convince ourselves, that we should or shouldn't go certain directions in life. We let people and doubts sway us. With this video sponsor, Skillshare, it's never out of reach to explore new realms of creativity.
Yeah. What the fuck? I'm tired of the fucking hands. Alright. Is that... That's the dude or whatever that talks? I just saw it was that commercial too. What was that? I think that was like something else. Anyway. Well, I hate fucking random old quotes. Like, it's just crazy, man. It's a fucking... Oh, it's been said for a long time, so it's still valid, right? It's still... Oh, what a fucking piece of wisdom that was. And... Alright, so I gotta move on quick, because I just saw the time. So I'm gonna move on to something a little lighter. Because that's kind of what I want to do. I want to, well, not lighter, but like, I want to get into like this bigger idea. So hopefully you guys that just watched that didn't really ever think about the difference between tolerance and acceptance and open-mindedness, what open-mindedness means, not how it's presented often. Maybe that'll, I don't know, if you haven't really thought about that, maybe you'll think about it and you'll do something with that. And that'd be great because, there's a lot of fucking videos that do this with a lot of ideas. And I'm sure I'll go back and I'll find more that do similar, and I'll probably talk about them in the future. Right? If you think like, wow, Inks, that was like a crazy take. You're unhinged, bro. Like the shit you said, like you're out of control, man. Like you sound like some kind of like fucking bigot or something. Or whatever. I don't know what anybody could like perceive of what I just said. Like the criticisms that I had of that. Like I can't imagine. Like it's just a video, Inks. Why are you so mad? That's the only thing I can imagine. And I'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, why am I so mad? It's because I'm a fucking schizo, bro. Like, leave me alone. All right. So anyway, this is a little lighter. I'm not going to play the whole fucking thing. I'm probably going to speed through it a little bit, but we'll see, or double exit. But I have some ideas regarding this sort of stuff. And it's good.
This is what the internet used to look like.
I don't know how to navigate this situation.
Oh my.
Oh my God.
The internet in the 90s was intimate, unfinished, chaotic.
Everything on here is animated very fast.
I mean, when I close my eyes at night, this is what I'm gonna see.
But whether you love it or hate it, the early web is disappearing.
To Savage. You're old
fast.
as fuck like me.
Can I click on it?
All the links are broken.
I wish the links worked.
This is the story of the race to save the early internet. And it's not just about preserving history. Hidden within the star backgrounds and construction signs are lessons that some people think could make today's internet a better place. People like Olia.
Absolutely.
Time neuron, welcome, under construction. Marquee is very important, yeah?
Olia makes art on the internet, and she studies the early web.
Star backgrounds, always, naturally.
We're gonna make a Starry Night background, for sure.
That's us. I'm Megan.
I'm Marcy. This is what we were doing in the 90s. At the same time, in Germany, Olia was teaching web design, and she would show her students websites like these as a joke.
I'm ashamed. Very short period of my life when I was making fun.
Specifically, she was making fun of the amateur personal websites that were such a huge part of the early web.
They were constantly ridiculed by professionals.
Think about how kind of beautiful that is, right? For any Zoomers and stuff, or people that didn't experience that. Like when I was experiencing it, I didn't quite grasp it or appreciate it like I could. Because it was just like, it was also new, right? It was also like fucking different. Like I can go to a search engine like Yahoo, and then like type in like, I don't know, like when I was a teen, I type in like, because they hadn't brought over a lot of anime, so I like type in Dragon Ball Z or fucking Serial Experiments Lane or like stuff like that, right? And it would just give me like a bunch of websites. There wouldn't be a fucking wiki page. There wouldn't be like a bunch of shitty articles with like fucking pop-ups and dumb ads, right? I didn't have to install a fucking ad blocker like for everything, right? No, you just click on a fucking link that says the Dragon Ball Z knowledge base website made by like one guy or like two people, and you go on there and there would just be a bunch of fucking hyperlinks with like a bunch of information, blogs, pictures, GIFs, like everything, like all this shit. You could spend like all day on one website dedicated to the one thing. And there would be so many levels of nuance and information and like all this shit. Now what do you got? What do you got? You got a bunch of fucking wikis. Awesome. Just something so just soulless about it. But anyway.
And it was like a campaign that they stopped to make web pages. It's something what you shouldn't do.
One day, in the early 2000s, she realized that these pages were disappearing. So she started a collection.
I was not concerned about the history. I was just thinking, oh, now it will be more difficult for me to make a difference to my students. But then again, quite soon, it became an obsession.
We assume that the things posted online will stay forever, but they don't. Software becomes obsolete, people stop paying for domain names, companies that host websites go out of business or get sold. It actually takes a lot of work and money to archive things on the internet. And if no one does it, things can disappear forever. Olia started doing the work, and she found herself part of a small but growing group of people who preserve our digital history.
One of those people is Dragon, with an A.
I'm the preservation director at Rhizome.
Dragon loves the early web. Today, he works to preserve art and culture on the internet. But in 1999, Dragon was in a band that played computer chip music. This is actually one of his songs. He first met Aaliyah at one of his shows. They started collaborating on projects that were all about the early internet. And then they got married to each other. As for their work, most of their inspiration comes from one place, GeoCities.
In 1999, GeoCities was the third most popular website in the world. It had 38 million pages. That's over 6 times as many as there are in English on Wikipedia today. GeoCities was kind of like an early social media platform, but more personalized.
This dog
Like no joke, I'm like grooving with this shit. This jam's pretty fucking sick.
is like a proto-influencer.
People made websites about their lives. They formed communities around things like Backstreet Boys and anime. And they also reacted to what was happening outside the internet. Together, they called themselves netizens, citizens of the net.
If you have any ideas, I can make this better.
I
Wow,
remember that term.
it's very collaborative.
Yahoo bought GeoCities in 1999 at its height. A decade later, they decided to shut it down. The entire website, all its GIFs, all its writing, all its content, was going to be deleted. But before that happened, a collective of digital archivists called the Archive Team stepped in and downloaded the entire GeoCities server.
It was like the fire brigade coming in or something. They captured as much of GeoCities as was possible for them, which resulted in 1 terabyte of data.
Yeah, it's one of the only fucking reasons you can even look at this shit anymore. There's a ton of fucking websites out there that still have domain names that you have to fucking manually enter. Yes, manually enter. www.specificthing.com, right? And it'll, with like oftentimes hyphens or whatever the hell, and you'll get a cool website, and they're still up, and you can still go to them, and you can look at the stuff in them, and there's still people that sometimes update them. And then there's new websites that are like this, that like Zoomers that just love this shit are like, I'm gonna make my own fucking personal website of the shit I like. It's cool as fuck. It's really cool. You just find weird shit. It's neat. It's like the old days of YouTube, where like everything wasn't just like a bunch of shit with like 3.7 million views being fucking forced down your throat.
1 terabyte. That's about how much a desktop computer can store today, compressed into a single file. Dragon and Aaliyah weren't part of the archive team, but what they did with the file was also important. They created a system that posted
That sucks, Savage.
screenshots from that file to Tumblr. Their blog helped introduce GeoCities to a new, younger audience.
The idea is really to highlight this culture and to post a picture every 20 minutes on Tumblr, basically to an audience that maybe has no recollection of a world before the internet.
Their research goes beyond Tumblr.
It's good to do that, because then if you get younger generations looking at this shit and then going, dude, if I, like my daughter, she's 15, 14, shit. She's 14. And she sees like stuff like this and like, you know, websites like this, and she hears about it. She's like, wow, it's so cool. Like, she's like, wow, like you could just make your own website and like people could find it and just like, and then like you could make like a little thing, like a little forum, and then just be like a handful of people and talk about the thing. And it isn't like Reddit. It isn't like fucking TikTok. It isn't Instagram. It isn't fucking some giant ass social media platform. It's just like a handful of weirdos that like a specific thing, and then they talk about it. And then you can upload like pictures and laugh at funny GIFs. Yes. She's like, that's really cool. I want that. You know, they have all this shit, right? And you got people in their like early 20s, late teens, whatever, mid 20s. They're like switching over to this shit. Like they're going, what is it called? Where they're fucking like, fuck this. Give me a dumb phone. They're switching over to dumb phones. Because they're like, I don't want all this shit on my, I don't need all this shit. It gets in the way of me doing anything. Because, you know, you're doom scrolling all goddamn day.
He has exhibited art about GeoCities in museums, and Dragon works to preserve websites, both from the early web and from today. They think it's important to preserve the internet because it's constantly evolving. And it doesn't just look different, it feels different.
This is what the internet looks like today. It's plain, white, approachable.
So for example, if you think about an Instagram feed, it looks very gallery-like, very neutral.
Clean and friendly as paper.
I hate Instagram. No, I don't hate Instagram.
The internet is no longer just for netizens. Half of the world is now online, a lot of the time. It makes sense that it's seamless, easy to use, but that
fucking boring and ugly. That's what it is.
ease comes at a cost.
Isn't it better now that anyone can go on Squarespace and make a website now? Isn't that...
Yeah, they just all look the same. That's like a bit sad.
Platforms limit what you can post, and unless you're a developer, you can't change how most websites look.
You have to be professional. You have to learn a lot.
Which is completely different from how the early web operated.
Everything was very hands-on.
People were not just posting something, they were with their web pages, they were creating the medium, creating the World Wide Web.
This is why I'm an idiot. I'm not a coding tech guy. I'm stupid. I'm an art guy. Right? I'm an art, philosophy, history, fucking liberal arts guy, I guess. But man, if I ever had a website for like this channel or for the Zoid Void server or like anything like that, or like something that's specifically Schizoid or specific to the channel and other stuff I talk about, I would want it built like this. This is how I would fucking want the website. Yes, I want this shit. I don't want that. I don't want to fucking use Squarespace. Fuck that.
In other words, people built a sense of ownership into the early web.
The feeling of community that you would have was very, very tight.
Oh, but you know what's cool? It's not practical, but rational. You might not know this, but some of the younger people that get there's like ways that they mod, or but there's like they're starting to making them like but like so that you could have like a phone that could do stuff. Like it has like the ability to like text this quickly, and it could even like watch YouTube videos, but like you have more control over like what you watch and how much you want to watch, and all kinds of other shit, right? It like it's set up to where you have to actually look for something. It doesn't like recommend a bunch of shit. It's just like when you have an idea and you're like, I want to look for something, and you just type it, and that's all you get, or the thing that you looked for because of the thought that you had. It's cool. And there's people out there like they're trying to like sell that shit and promote that shit. There's a couple of channels that do it.
And all those early web cliches actually helped create that community. Take GIFs. On the early web, a lot of them were transparent. Why? Aaliyah says it's because they were made to be shared on other people's pages. She's even made a few of her own. Under construction signs showed that behind an unfinished website, a person was there, working on it. And people decorated their sites with welcome signs, guest books, and mail me buttons so that their pages would feel like homes. Because cyberspace used to be a destination in itself.
In the earlier times, it was about, here, you are on the internet, and all of these lamps are glowing, and these globes are spinning.
It's so much fun, dude. I don't care. People say it's ugly. It's fun. And there's other people that made websites that weren't this ugly. Like, you know, they weren't like just crazy shit. Like, they made them nice and pretty and organized and like had cool setups. Especially the people that knew how to do it better. Like, they had like really cool, like they fucking have little games. They would have all kinds of like shit, man. It was rad.
And the browser would basically tell you, you are on the internet, you made it, you connected all the cables.
Like, it was cool. You would meet somebody online and it'd be like whatever, and like, hey, I like that thing, I guess, blah blah blah. And they're like, hey, I made a website, want to see it? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then and you're like, hey, this website's pretty sick. Oh yeah, that's cool. They know about that stuff. Oh wow, that's a cool database. Like, it's a cool little archive of things. Oh, that's pretty rad. Let me bookmark it. Add it to my bookmarks.
It was correctly, you installed all the tools.
So it's not just the aesthetic that Dragon and Aaliyah miss. They also miss the mindset.
What is lost?
They also didn't have this fucking culture of having like a million tabs open. That shit's not good for you, man. That's just not good for you. I don't give a fuck what it makes sense. Having like 100 fucking tabs open, just like some weird addiction. I'll get to them eventually. You're fucking not.
When some of those web pages disappear forever.
They lost this idea that you are the maker of the World Wide Web.
I mean, it looks silly with the backgrounds and the flash animation and the weird color.
Flash animation was the best. R.I.P. Flash animation, for real. R.I.P. old school Newgrounds.
But you do see personality there that is missing from the modern internet.
The early web aesthetic is having a bit of a comeback today. Here's the official website for Captain Marvel. Here's Bojack.
Well, yeah, they're picking up on a trend corpse. I would just be like, okay, fine, like, that's good if like that like makes people start just going like, hey, yeah, let's go that route. I'll be like, all right, okay, I guess. But I don't want like people making websites that look like this on Squarespace.
Horsemans. These websites look like the early web, but the actual early web is almost gone. And communities formed after GeoCities are also at risk of disappearing. In early 2019, MySpace announced that they lost over 10 years of people's music, pictures, and messages. And Flash, which made much of the early web run, will be shut down in 2020. So what happened to GeoCities wasn't unique. It was just one of the first to go. Dragon doesn't want to see that happen again, even if he thinks most websites today look the same. So he works on a project called Web Recorder that lets anyone preserve any website.
That's sick, Crispy Potato. Fuck yeah, a little choose your own adventure type shit. I used to go to some websites that had cool stuff like that. Or people that were like pretty good at like programming back then. Like they would be like, hey, check out my little weird thing that I made. It's like a little puzzle. I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've never seen that before. Right? It's like, It's like people would create weird little unique novelties and shit on their little websites. Like even the old, like there used to be something called melodramatic.com, right? It was like it was kind of like early MySpace, but like for just alt people, like weirdos, like metalheads, goth. Like it had a lot of like goth and metalhead teens. I was one of the more metalhead goth music, electronic music loving guy, and like I had my little page in there. Like you can actually find some if you type in melodramatic.com on like the Wayback Machine, you could see some pages still where people are writing. And yeah, they're a little cringy or whatever, but it was cool because that little social media, you could make like a little blog page. You could have like, you could upload like 2 or 3 songs you liked so that when the fucking person goes on there, it starts like playing one of your jams. And then you would just like put in your little fucking journal entries. And like you weren't like sitting around trying to promote it and make people like click it and like it. You were just like make your shit, and then if people found it and they were like, "Hey, this fucking blog is cool," then they would tell their friends, be like, "Hey, check out this blog," and then like you get more people looking at your blog or whatever. But it was like more organic. And I don't know, man. It's fucking soulless, this shit we got.
Because we can't speak for what future users will want to remember.
I kind of want to keep on scrolling.
This is amazing.
If there's anything to be learned from the rise and fall of GeoCities, it's that things on the internet can disappear, just like that. But they can also be resurrected by people.
Which means users can also be creators.
Progress is not always like perceived technological progress. Don't let people tell you what progress is when it comes to technology, especially when we're talking culturally. We're talking culturally. Don't let them tell you, "Oh, this is fast, it's efficient. Look at it, it's all streamlined. It's streamlined. It's streamlined." That's not always a good thing, man.
You're inspired. I have a feeling that you will now go and make a web page.
Yeah, people were making their own GIFs and shit, like of all kinds of crap. Now everyone's just using Giphy. You know, GIFs used to be a fun thing. Like it was like a GIFs, used to be a fun thing because you know how you would find new GIFs? It wouldn't be on Giphy. It wouldn't be on like a fucking random, like on even like I don't know, even that. Sadly, like 4chan is a cesspit, but like it still has some of that old school feel to it. But point is, you didn't go on iFunny, you didn't use Giphy, you didn't use any of that shit. You didn't go on fucking TikTok or whatever the fuck, or not, sorry, on fucking X. Now it's X. You didn't go on that shit to find memes and GIFs. You just made your own, or you would go on these little websites that you would find, and then they would have a funny GIF in there that you've never seen before because that user fucking made it, and then you would be like, "That's a funny GIF," and then you would take it and you put it on your little website, or you put it on your blog, or you would like email it to a friend or message it and be like, "Look at this funny thing," and they'd be like, "Oh man, that's really cool." Like, Jesus, man, I don't understand how people think this is so much better. I'm so glad I could just. Like, even today, when I want to find a GIF, like, I rarely use Giphy or any of the built-in shit. Like, I'll just search for something on my browser, and then I'll scroll through to find one that kind of hits the mark, and then I'll pick that one, and I'll post that one. Because, like, man, like, a lot of the shit on, like, the pre-built, like, GIF, it's a bunch of cringy shit, or, like, it's a bunch of, like, real, like, fucking just boring, like, overused fucking deep fried bullshit. But anyway, guys, I gotta go. It's a little bit past. Really quick, just so you know about it, 2 weird channels, and I'm gonna put this stuff in the description. I always forget, but I'm tired, guys. With 2 weird channels. So David Brown, really weird, interesting, maybe creepy, but now he has 23K. Way back when I joined, it was less than that. I joined when he was still doing this fucking project. Essentially, he's creating this like fucking robot thing, girl. And when he first started, we were talking like like, he was just doing like paintings. This is like 4 years ago, and then he started getting into like robotic shit, and that was like 3 years ago. And he started like fucking with it and designing it and engineering it, and so on and so forth. And he's been at it for like a good fucking minute. And like, here, I don't like the AI stuff they've been doing. It's just weird. But I think they're trying to do some like AI lip sync shit. But yeah, they were like, this was like 4 months ago, because they're still doing this. So it's crazy.
Symbol.
With dead look in its eyes.
Animation data in it. So
weird.
something like this here. She
You can see
starts
its process.
555 right in the center. These are percentage values from 0 to 1. Frame number.
It's
Random
very
poses in
odd
here.
and very interesting.
But once I get
Robotic
that
stuff.
animation, so they can go a bit further out. And I can close them a bit more too,
I'm
but
guessing
I'm
with
a
the
little
AI, I
bit
think
leery
what
of
he's
doing
trying to
that
do is
for
probably
now.
get some kind of like LLM type.
So as far as the code over
shit
here,
to, like, make that
some of the
the
basic
thing
principle
that
of what's
allows it
going
to
on
talk
here is
and
I'm
all that.
sending all of these frames of data for the position for each servo, which is extracted
Yeah,
from
it
Cinema
gets
4D.
very, very nerdy.
And that's
And I'm
at about...
stupid, so I don't know. And there's shorts too.
Can you make an F sound?
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh.
So yeah, there's some weird fun channels online. And then last one, I do have to go. Last one, really quick here. This is a strange little channel. Oh, hold on one sec. All right, so as I was saying, this is a weird little channel. It's called Dead Hippie. He's like this rap guy, rap artist. Just really strange, really odd videos. I really like them. Shit like this. It's kind of like horror, rap, shit, rap. I don't know. I'm bad with music genre descriptions, unless we're talking metal usually. Or and it's got like this old school fucking shitty camera, potato camera. It's like in graveyards and all this stuff. Horror movie clips. And he actually goes pretty hard, and he's pretty talented, and he's quick. And then he does like goofy shit like this. He's got like he doesn't take himself too seriously, which I like.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. My name's Hip.
This was like to promote like a few months ago for like a concert or something.
Me and my niggas are gonna be live at a 2-show event, June 27th and June 28th. On June 27th, we'll be in Dallas.
It's just fun. It's just fun. Small channel. I think he's growing. He's got like 10K. People like, I guess in the comments are saying that this guy's fucking talented as all shit. So I don't know. Maybe he'll grow and become like a fucking MF Doom type person. But yeah, like he's even got little like I guess this is a curve. I haven't seen it, but just strange like new music videos. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, I gotta go. That's Dead Hippie. It's interesting. And I'm so fucking happy I found this guy. His music has its own unique sound that I just can't get enough of. It's actually insane. The animation deserves recognition too. Hip did that mug himself. All right, guys. Peace out. Thanks a lot. If you want to support me, Grim Salvo, tell me about it next time because I gotta go. If you want to support me, please Patreon, PayPal, all that kind of shit. I could use a drink, so if you want to buy me a beer, do so on PayPal. Peace out, and talk to you later. And as usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day, but always remember to stay fucking mad when you need to.